Fayetteville Academy is entering the home stretch of the annual fund drive, and there's still a chance for you to make a contribution in honor of one of the school's legendary figures.
You know, she's iconic in that regard. I mean, when people think of Fayetteville Academy, they think of Lulie Harry.
1972, he ordered bombers to rain fire on her village.
For the past 40 years, Lulie Harry has been a staple in the lives of students and parents at Fayetteville Academy. Her classroom, a place where history comes to life.
She's amazing. She's my NC history teacher. And it's just, whenever she gives us new material, you never get bored in class. You're always interested in the material and you want to know more. And just the way she presents the information to us it's amazing.
She has a lot of energy and she's very excited to share the American history, which I was very grateful for because since it's my first year seriously living here, I was really glad to have the opportunity to learn more about the American history and the culture and where this country has been and where it's going to.
Even her boss has learned a thing or two.
So I had the opportunity to sit in her class myself a couple of weeks ago when she teaches an annual lesson to our 7th graders about the history of the school, about Fayetteville Academy. And you know, here I am, the head of the school. Everything she said in there was news to me. I mean, I was just learning. I wish I'd had my notebook with me. I was trying to commit as much as I could to mental notes.
The environment than at any other time.
To Lulie, history is not so much about the past, but what it teaches us about the present, which is what has kept her so vibrant all these years.
And I have people say to me all of the time, well, doesn't it get easier after you've taught for so many years? And I say, no, it gets harder because there's so much more that you want to teach and you can't teach. I can't teach my students this year the same way that I taught them last year. You know, it's just, you have to teach to what it is that's happening in the world that we're living in at that time and not the way it might have been 40 years ago.
A look back at Lulie's personal history finds that she almost failed as a teacher before she even started.
When I did not really enjoy my student teaching, and because my teacher she said, you can't teach anything that's not in the textbook. And that just drove me crazy because it was all of this great stuff that was out there that was not in their book. And I got really poor grades in my student teaching, and I thought, you know, maybe this is just not the right career for me because I'm not doing things according to the book. And so she was always marking me down because you're talking about things that go on outside of what the book says.
But luckily, she found freedom at Fayetteville Academy and has since made her own history. Since the early 1970s, she's been the one teacher that no one forgets.
She is able to get out of students who aren't as interested in school like I was. She teaches you organization. She gets you passionate about history. And she makes you want to perform for her.
She is a very passionate teacher. She loves her history, knows I've been fortunate enough to have her for both 7th grade North Carolina history and this year 11th grade AP US history. And I've enjoyed both classes a lot. She teaches so well. It makes it easy because she's such a good teacher.
One moment in her class that I'll never forget, I was actually right after 9/11 happened. I was in her history class the next period, and I remember this moment very, very well. Whenever any mention of 9/11 comes up, I remember Miss Harry in class pulled out the American flag and asked the class to stand around the American flag and hold it. And if we had anything to say in that, in that moment at that time, it was just sort of open discussion, and that's my most vivid memory of that time. And again, she was just an absolutely dynamic teacher, and I would pay to take her history class over again, her North Carolina history class. It was just that amazing.
Mrs. Harry is a great teacher. She's probably one of my favorite teachers that I've had. She knows a lot about what she's talking about, and she always tries to help you out, and she wants everybody to do as good as they can, and she knows everything about what she teaches. So I'm sure she knows every single thing about history there is.
I would like to think so. I'm not sure that I'm always successful in doing that. I think they think I was living back at the time of the Civil War. I don't think we've made any mention of environment since Roosevelt was president in the early 1900s.
7th grade, the history project, I think, stays in everybody's mind. It's such a beautiful time for the kids to express their artistic talents, their love of history. She inspires that. And I think that his entire class probably went on to her AP history class in the 11th grade because of that experience.
Through all of those generations, a lot has changed. But one thing remains the same.
There have been a lot of changes. If you look at technology, I can still remember I didn't have an electric typewriter, just an old punch typewriter. A mimeograph, you could recognize the teacher a mile away because they had purple coming up and down their arms from the old mimeograph machines. The technology has been one of the biggest changes, but even with all of the technology, it doesn't take away from the personal one-on-one relationship between a teacher and a student. I think it allows me to really get to know my students, but not just my students, but their families, and what are the needs that they have, and what can I do to try to help each one of my students grow and mature and just become the person that they're destined to be.
Now is the time where you can honor Lulie Harry in her service, a service that comes from her love of Fayetteville Academy.
Fayetteville Academy has always been such an important part of my life. It's always been so good to me that I've always said, what can I give back to Fayetteville Academy? And so I've really I know that there are a lot of monetary advantages for the public school system, but that's not what teaching is all about to me. I wanted to teach in an environment where students want to learn. You have parents who are so supportive and eager to be a part of the Fayetteville Academy family to help you help their child.
She's had an impact on thousands, literally thousands of kids over the years, and that'll reach on forever. But to leave a lasting legacy like the Lulie Harry Endowment, which will be a part of the Academy in perpetuity as well, is a great opportunity.
There could be a huge tendency for teachers to feel underappreciated just because of what our society seems to value. And there's probably a real tangible way we can express to her what she's meant to us and all the teachers, but in this year for Lulie. I think our society looks at how much you make and that's how successful you are. But I don't think that's true. And I think it's what you create and what people say when you're not there. It's a wonderful place. And she embodies all that Fayetteville Academy is. Sorry.
This is our Fayetteville Academy seal, and the motto for our school is Futura est in Presentia, and the future is in the present, and it's so important for our Fayetteville Academy community, our Fayetteville Academy family, to continue to support our school in whatever way that they can.